I'm here with Brandon Brockway. He is the executive director for the Prairie du Chien Historical Society?
That's right.
Oh, wow. And the thing is that's so interesting about Prairie du Chien is just it has so much history, and it's great to have organizations like yours that really celebrate that, right?
Well, we're really glad to have you guys here, and yeah, that's what we're basically doing here is we're celebrating Prairie du Chien history.
And there's a lot of history here.
Well, besides our hospital museum that represents Fort Crawford, we also are, right now we're in the Museum of Prairie du Chien, which is all local history, including a new exhibit we just put together this year on the 150th of the incorporation of Prairie du Chien.
The Prairie du Chien has been around for 150 years,
yep.
Or at least been incorporated,
right.
But it's had a long, long history even before that,
right? Back to the 1700s, 1600s, right?
1700s, 1600s. I mean, everything. I mean, this was the Mississippi Valley was just filled with Native American tribes, and then settlers realized just how much you can really see and do, and as far as it just has so much resources here.
Right. Well, mostly the river, like any community with a river.
Yeah, it's amazing that you've got just so much history and really spanning a little bit of everything from here in Prairie du Chien, right?
Right. Well, we're always dependent on what people are going to give us for donations, and then we try to incorporate them into exhibits.
Right. I mean, you're celebrating your fire department. I mean, tobacco was a very big part of this region as well.
Yep.
And then I come across and I see it like you got this giant iron lung here. Where'd this guy come from?
Basically, he's an inherited piece from the Medical Society. Before the Historical Society took this over in '96, the State Medical Society operated this, and so this is still a favorite item for visitors.
It's an interesting piece of history. I mean, the idea that there was one of these in just so many homes across the country, and just the idea of imagining being, utilizing one of these is.
Right. Well, thank goodness for the vaccine.
Thanks for the polio vaccine. Yeah, there's a lot of history here, and it's interesting that this was the medical museum, and now you're morphing, you're changing a little bit, and it's more of just the overall history of the Prairie du Chien area.
Right, in Crawford County as well. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, there's just so much here, but we're on land that was a pretty substantial fort here right on the Mississippi.
Yep.
And one of your other buildings is still standing. That was part of that, right?
Yep. You want to go check that out?
Let's go check that out.
All right.
So this was originally the hospital at Fort Crawford here.
Yep, that's right. Well, this is actually a rebuilt structure. It was rebuilt by our local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution in the 1930s, a WPA project.
This was a public works project.
Yep.
And that's so interesting, taking public funds and saying, let's rebuild a very old building. That's so interesting. We appreciate the history.
Right. Well, we're so grateful they did, because now for, over 70 years we've interpreted Fort Crawford history, Prairie du Chien history here, so
right.
We're very grateful for what they did.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what all items do you have in this wing here?
Well, basically we interpret what the hospital, how it would have been used at the time to serve patients. We also have an exhibit inside that talks about the 1999 excavation, and they basically dug up the road out here and found all these objects that had belonged to the fort.
Yeah, because the road cut right through the middle of this building.
Basically, they had to cut off a whole wing on the other side.
That's so interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's Brandon, you got so much amazing history here.
We do.
It's such a fascinating part of our country, as well as the tri-state area, and being able to showcase it and let people learn more about their backyard is so beneficial.
No, we think we have a lot of exciting things here too, and we often hear how people are really impressed. They don't expect a museum of our size to have this nice of exhibit. So,
just a lot of interesting history, but you're changing it pretty frequently.
Well, every year we try to do a change in exhibit in our Museum of Prairie du Chien. This year we have an exhibit on the 150th of the incorporation of Prairie du Chien.
Yeah, but the hospital's pretty much permanent.
Well, we're in the works actually of creating a new exhibit in the back on the 3 major treaties that were signed here in Prairie du Chien.
Three major treaties signed here in Prairie du Chien.
One was actually signed on this location. The other 2 were down at the old Fort Crawford location.
Wow.
So,
like I said, just history abounds in this community.
it does.
Yeah, well, Brandon, thanks so much for having us in, and I can't wait to look around a little bit
Thank
more.
you for coming. We appreciate it.